Welcome to my channel, F1 News.
1 week until sprint race weekend next up in Miami, and yet more images dropping from Ferrari's Monza test they ran just days ago, revealing all the fresh ideas they've cooked up for Miami to claw back time on Mercedes. The flick tail setup, they're calling it, essentially a blown diffuser arrangement at the rear that they've introduced this season. Some additional refinements to that zone have certainly been the hot topic today, after more shots emerged. Major rumors, too, about what's shifting in 2027. There's genuinely exciting stuff in here if this actually materializes. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you're enjoying it, subscribe if you're new. As always, let's kick off with this. BYD, the Chinese EV giant, you might know them. They actually build regular combustion cars too, but there's been serious chatter about manufacturers eyeing Formula One. A lot of discussion has circled around the Alpine seat. Obviously, there's a world where a 12th team walks through the door. The Concord agreement caps it at 12 teams currently. The 11th team, being Cadillac, got through, though it wasn't straightforward as Andretti. Various hoops had to be jumped through to seal that deal, but it's proven an entry is achievable. Interest from certain outfits to do exactly that going forward is real. Alpine, among a couple of others, could potentially sell their spot if the money's right. BYD would be a fascinating proposition though, especially since when I think of that company, it's their EVs that come to mind. And of course right now, Formula One isn't exactly far removed from Formula E, as Max Verstappen might argue. But next year and beyond, that's likely to shift considerably, especially under the incoming regulations. Everyone's talking V8 turbocharged, 2.4-liter V8, something in that territory. Whether it's naturally aspirated or turbocharged, it may carry no hybrid component at all. And if it does, we're probably looking at a maximum 10 to 15% contribution, much like the previous regulatory era. So does that fit BYD's DNA? That's the real question. We understood Audi jumped into Formula One largely off the back of the electrification angle. That narrative has somewhat evolved. Audi are now saying, look, the seat itself is enormously valuable. These teams aren't struggling in F1. There's massive upside. Teams are worth billions of dollars, so it makes sense commercially, even if it's slightly contrary to what you'd initially expect from them. And yeah, there's apparently been a meeting with Stefano Domenicali back in Shanghai where they flagged it's definitely a consideration, an opportunity to showcase their technology. There's also a feeling that the Haas operation has become essentially Toyota Gazoo Racing Haas, and perhaps a world exists where that alignment deepens and Toyota could effectively absorb that spot. That's been a discussion circulating recently. We'll see whether any of this develops further. Quick one. Christian Horner was spotted at Jerez this past weekend. MotoGP was in town, Marc Marquez doing what you'd expect on top, but Horner in that paddock had people raising eyebrows, right? Everyone expects him to resurface somewhere in F1. There have been links to Alpine, links to Aston Martin, though that one's largely been dismissed. But could Horner pivot to MotoGP instead if F1 doesn't come together? No idea, but he was definitely there having conversations worth monitoring. One of the other significant developments outside of Ferrari is what's being discussed for 2027. Some tweaks are already coming in. We know Miami sees the recharge reduction on qualifying laps, an increase in super clipping windows, which should cut down how frequently it's needed, and some adjustments to in-race boost deployment, specifically the full 350 kilowatt battery output that was capped at 250 kilowatts following Behrman's incident. They didn't actually collide, but you get the picture. Next year, though, far more meaningful changes could be on the table. The challenge is that currently, if you want to alter the power ratio between electric and combustion, you can, but only by dramatically slashing battery output from 350 kilowatts potentially down to even 200, which has genuinely been floated. For now, it's staying as is. Teams and F1 may resist pushing it too low, although honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if that shifts across coming rounds. We've seen step one of these regulation tweaks. More will likely follow if the racing product doesn't meaningfully improve in the next handful of rounds. The fundamental problem is the engines are fixed. You can't simply tell the teams, right lads, bump the fuel flow up, which is effectively what was reduced, meaning these 1.6-liter turbo V6s are no longer producing roughly 850 horsepower. They're closer to 550 to 575 now. That decision was made to boost the battery's power contribution. The battery capacity technically hasn't changed, still sitting at 4 megajoules total, but nobody actually cares about the megajoules conversation, so let's not dwell there. The point is, you could increase fuel flow to claw back combustion power, similar to what Ferrari were famously accused of years ago, but reliability becomes a real concern, since these engines were engineered to operate at specific parameters. The fuel tanks are also a fixed size, so realistically this is only applicable in qualifying. The key point is, if a meaningful change is going to happen here, it needs to happen now. Teams are roughly beginning their 2027 engine development cycles. If the power balance is getting adjusted, that decision needs landing soon. John Noble over at The Race has put together a really solid piece on this and mentions that a senior insider believes the Miami changes will address something meaningful, but fundamentally only shift about 20% of what actually needs to change, and several of these changes simply aren't deliverable within this season, so 2027 is where eyes are now landing. The power split currently sits closer to 55-45, combustion to electric, not quite 50-50. There's appetite to push further. Could we see combustion nudged up by 50 kilowatts, taking it to around 450 kilowatts, somewhere in the low 600 horsepower range, with the battery dropping to 300 kilowatts, making it closer to 60-40? Qualifying remains the core tension point. In races, though, an argument exists that permitting more electric deployment could improve racing because it enables more overtaking opportunities, especially with no DRS going forwards. There is genuine concern that over the coming years, we could end up with serious processions, right? Because fundamentally, whatever criticism you level at the yo-yo style of racing, it at least generates overtaking moments. If the dirty air situation deteriorates as aerodynamics become more sophisticated and big battery deployment gets stripped back, everyone left with similarly powered combustion units that always deliver full output, unlike batteries which don't, then processions become a real risk. And I'm not arguing processions are inherently awful. There's obviously a balance. You don't want passes to be trivially easy either. But keeping higher energy deployment available in race situations, perhaps restricting it in qualifying to prevent super clipping and lift and coast scenarios, seems worth discussing seriously. So that's the live debate, and it looks like the ambition could stretch further still. There's talk of pushing it to 60-40, but potentially even beyond that, going as far as 75-25 has been whispered, drastically ramping combustion power while slashing the electric contribution. All theoretically achievable, but requiring a supermajority. 4 out of 5 power unit manufacturers, the FIA and FOM, all aligned. FIA seems broadly supportive from what's understood. FOM might need more convincing given the PR dynamics around reducing electric power. And what about the manufacturers themselves? Would Mercedes feel aggrieved or recognize that a healthier sport ultimately means a more valuable asset for their own organization regardless? Something to weigh up, but those are the early conversations shaping the 2027 picture. Let's shift to Ferrari though, because we caught a couple of images from the Monza test day, not the sharpest quality initially. Then the day after, clearer shots arrived. We got a decent look at their new Macarena wing. We got a look at what appears to be a new floorboard element, the area once commonly called the barge board, now technically labeled the floorboard in the regulations. We know what part of the car we mean. I'll highlight it more precisely shortly. But today brought more images out, quite decent ones from the rear of the Ferrari, and this is where the bulk of the technical development appears to be concentrated. First thing you notice in this shot, the new Macarena wing with that upward sticky element. Very distinctive. Sam Collins will absolutely be all over it. But on the floor, you've got what look like 2 cutouts. Bear in mind, this is only from a single angle, so from another perspective it likely looks even more different. But those floor cutouts don't appear to have been there previously. And the other standout detail is obviously this flick tail element, or blown diffuser you might loosely call it. It's not a blown diffuser in the traditional sense, but the concept is exhaust gases being directed upward via this tail element in a manner other teams haven't replicated, because the ability to execute it depends on the legality boxes, and those are dictated by how the differential is mounted within the gearbox. Ferrari have configured theirs in a way that opens just enough space within their legality boxes to make it happen. There's also been discussion about the back pressure implications, which reportedly actually reduces overall engine output, which interestingly could work in their favor in terms of unlocking further development headroom. As for what we've seen so far, I'll throw up this other image quickly because it gives a pretty solid view of the floorboard. You can see at its leading edge there's now an additional vertical element that we haven't really spotted elsewhere. Actually quite remarkable, because we anticipated this area of the car would attract serious attention from teams. The legality boxes here are quite generous, and you'd think almost anything goes, yet teams varied wildly, some running 3 elements, some 4 vertical elements, possibly 5 depending on the box dimensions. Now you're seeing 2 entirely separate elements from Ferrari. Absolutely everyone has interpreted this zone differently, which makes it genuinely fascinating to observe. The floor itself is interesting. Here's another rearward view, another look at this flick tail arrangement, substantially different from how it was configured previously, so worth keeping front of mind. Here's the older configuration for comparison. It clearly looks different to me, but image quality isn't perfect. This is what Ferrari developed. They revealed it earlier in the season, and by all accounts it's contributing meaningfully to lap time. It looks like a straightforward piece of carbon fiber, but the way it redirects airflow upward pulls air from the diffuser along with it, generating additional...
Thanks for watching this video on my channel, F1 News, and please subscribe my channel and press bell icon.